Hello, and welcome to Northbeat from Inuvik, Northwest Territories. Right now, I'm at the Midnight Sun complex where the Inuvik youth hockey team is practicing. We will be in the community all week to mark the return of the sun at the Inuvik Sunrise Festival, and of course, we'll also speak to community members about what's going on around town. Tonight, we'll hear from Inuvik's mayor about some of the challenges the community faces and some of the solutions on the horizon. But first, the news. Thanks for joining us. I'm Megan Roberts in Inuvik, Northwest Territories. We begin tonight in Nunavut. A Kugluktuk resident is raising the alarm over the lack of a full-time ambulance service in the community. He says he was injured in an accident that left him in a wheelchair, and there was no ambulance to help him when he needed one the most. The CBC's Mahnor Mubarak reports.
I had 5 broken ribs. I had a damaged spine.
Paul Murphy got into a snowmobile accident after hitting an ice hole. Community members helped lift him onto a piece of plywood and drove him to the local health center, all because there's no ambulance in the community. And for health center follow-ups, Murphy faced accessibility challenges getting back and forth in his wheelchair.
And somebody had to push me in a wheelchair from the health center to here on snow-covered roads that were really rough.
He was later flown to Yellowknife for treatment. Kugluktuk does have a medical transport vehicle, but it's only available for trips from the health center to the airport when patients need to be medevaced. The hamlet says they don't have the money or trained staff needed to have a full-time ambulance service, and that they would need external funding to make it possible.
It really bothers me that we don't have an ambulance. I say to myself, gee, what if I didn't have the support to get me there to the hospital?
One community member is working to help where he can. Kyle Shemilik is personally driving people to the health center. He says people need help and no one should be left out.
We don't want to leave anybody out, singled out or sitting there by themselves, nowhere to go or come in or no rides. So it's very important.
As for Murphy, he says he's still calling for a solution to give the community access to an ambulance. Mahnor Mubarak, CBC News, Iqaluit.
Staying in Nunavut, the continuing care center in Joe Haven is closed to visitors because of recent confirmed COVID-19 cases. The government of Nunavut says the center is closed to protect elders from getting sick. And if people need medical help, they can go to the community health center. The GN is advising people to wear a mask and stay home if they feel sick. In the Northwest Territories, a house in the community of Norman Wells burned to the ground on Saturday. The Norman Wells Fire Department got the call around 4:30 a.m. on January 3rd. Once on the scene, the community's acting fire chief says the house was beyond saving and damage control became the goal.
So our priority became protecting the ones nearby and just making sure that when that building did collapse, that it was taking up as little space as possible.
Walker says no injuries were reported. He says the cause of the fire has not been determined at this time and that an investigation will start once the property is deemed safe. Parents raising children with autism in Yellowknife say respite assistance can be challenging to find. The Northwest Territories government funds 2 nonprofits to deliver that care. A referral or diagnosis is not required, but families say the biggest problem isn't eligibility. Carla Ulrich explains.
Respite is non-medical daytime support provided in the home or community. The Territory funds Inclusion NWT in Yellowknife and the NWT Disability Council in other communities to provide that support. But worker recruitment has been difficult since the pandemic, and families are put on wait lists. Alex Davidson has a 7-year-old son with autism. He says they have had several respite workers over the years, but nothing permanent.
having these hours that were approved for us and not being able to use them because there was nobody. And I think they ended up finding us somebody, but for a very short period of time. And then we were without respite for at least a year and a half.
Davidson said when they can access that support, the difference is immediate, but losing it takes a toll.
It's made a huge difference. And having not known that it was available to having it, to losing it, to getting it back again, to knowing that you're going to lose it again is a wild range of emotions.
The territorial government says it's aware of the challenges parents face. Megan Kugler is the manager of seniors and continuing care services.
The NGOs in their reporting to us indicate there is obviously recruitment and retention of staff workers, like across the board, has just been something they've been challenged with since COVID.
The Department of Health and Social Services says they do not track waitlists for respite care and says delays depend on staffing and family needs. The territory says it has increased funding and wages for respite workers, and improving recruitment remains a priority. Carla Ulrich, CBC News, Fort Smith.
Aurora College has suspended all scheduled classes for the week. That includes in-person and online classes. The college says a cyber attack over the Christmas break knocked out college servers, e-learning platforms, email, and student portals. It says systems are expected to remain down for most of the week, though its public website is still accessible. Faculty and staff will be on site starting today and available to students by person and in phone. Aurora College says updates will be shared online and on social media. In the wake of the American incursion into Venezuela, Donald Trump is again threatening Greenland. He says the U.S. needs the Danish territory for national security purposes. Crystal Gamansing looks at European reaction to his comments.
European leaders are speaking out in support of Greenland's sovereignty. U.S. President Donald Trump restated his desire to take control of the territory on Sunday. The timing is causing some to weigh his words carefully. He did just launch military action on Venezuela. Denmark's Prime Minister Mette Frederiksen told the country's public broadcaster the American president should be taken seriously when he says he wants Greenland. Trump told reporters on board Air Force One Sunday that America needs the self-governing territory that falls under the administration of Denmark for security reasons.
I will say this about Greenland. We need Greenland from a national security situation. It's so strategic. Right now, Greenland is covered with Russian and Chinese ships all over the place. We need Greenland from the standpoint of national security. And Denmark is not going to be able to do it, I can tell you.
Greenland is rich in natural resources and strategically located in the Arctic, along with Russia and China. They have been increasing military and commercial activities in the region. Denmark is a NATO member, and its prime minister said if the U.S. attacks another NATO country, then everything stops. UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer clearly put his support behind Denmark and Greenland, but chose his words carefully.
Well, the future of Greenland is for Greenland and the Kingdom of Denmark, and for Greenland and the future of Denmark only. And Denmark is a very close ally of the UK, both in Europe and in NATO, and it's very important that we're clear about the principles applicable to here. Greenland and the Kingdom of Denmark must determine the future of Greenland and nobody else.
Similar statements were made today by the spokesperson for the European Commission, as well as officials in France and Germany. Trump made a point of saying he would say more about his desire to take control of Greenland in a few weeks' time. Crystal Gamansing, CBC News, London.
Prime Minister Mark Carney has arrived in Paris. He's in the French capital to discuss the future of Ukraine with other world leaders. They're hoping to speed up a negotiated peace plan with Russia. And one of the key issues they'll be focusing on is security guarantees for Ukraine. Murray Brewster is traveling with the Prime Minister.
Prime Minister Mark Carney will be in Paris for the next 2 days, meeting with allies over the fate of Ukraine's peace initiative. This comes as Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has appointed former Deputy Prime Minister Chrystia Freeland as his special economic advisor. Roughly 30 nations who've signed on to what's known as the Coalition of the Willing are trying to hammer out support for Ukraine as the U.S. tries to broker a peace deal with Russia. Over the weekend, Zelensky met with senior defense and security advisors from 18 nations who are part of the Coalition of the Willing. Their mission was to hammer out details of security guarantees Ukraine will need going into possible peace talks with Russia. Experts say solid military commitments are essential in the absence of Ukraine joining NATO. Russia has made Ukraine's exclusion from the Western military alliance as one of the preconditions for peace talks. What's going to be key over the next couple of days is the shape of those security guarantees provided to Ukraine by Europe and Canada. The big question, will they be credible enough to deter Russia in accepting a ceasefire and from taking a breather and then restarting the war at some point in the future? The U.S. has separately pledged security guarantees for 15 years, but part of that hinges on what the allies are willing to do. A senior defense advisor to Prime Minister Mark Carney took part in the discussions with Zelensky over the weekend. What Canada is prepared to contribute, it's unclear right now. Military leaders of the coalition's roughly 30 nations meet today to further flesh out plans on how to enforce those security guarantees, and the country's leaders will meet tomorrow. Marie Brewster, CBC News, Ottawa.
I'm Suresh Das. I've spent my career writing about the local favorites that make Canada's food scene truly unique. I've never had Nigerian food like this.
If this is where Filipino food is headed, I'm so proud.
From vibrant street food to comforting traditional dishes to innovative personal twists on classics, I believe every bite tells a story. Now, I want to share those stories with you.
Where does bravery live? In Marie-Philippe Poulin, who went from playing in a boys' league to trailblazing a pro women's league. And in Cynthia Appia, who refuses to let the high cost of sports slow her down. It lives inside Piper and Paul, who use every fall as a chance to bounce back even higher. Where does bravery live? Inside every Canadian, in the moments that define us.
This January on CBC TV.
I am all over this party.
It's officially Cancel Your Plans season.
Can't even put your arms down.
What? Turn up the heat with unforgettable drama.
You know, once we do this, there's no going back.
Unstoppable laughs.
Get up.
Family favorites.
Let's play the feud, everybody.
And gripping mysteries.
How gruesome, indeed.
This January, find everything you need to see.
Exactly, for sure.
On CBC TV. And stream anytime on CBC Gem.
I'm heading to the African continent and across the diaspora to speak with activists, artists, athletes. I'm Amanda Paris, always pushing the conversation forward. And this is For the Culture.
You serious? And shuffles off upstairs, all secretive.
I find the process therapeutic.
Coronation Street on CBC TV and stream on CBC Gem.
Welcome back. Inuvik is pitching itself as a strategic location for development in the Arctic. It comes amidst a changing global order and a push by Canada to secure its north. Inuvik Mayor Peter Clarkson says the town and the country would benefit from military investment in the community. He has a long history in Inuvik and in municipal politics, where he first served as mayor in 2000. We spoke earlier about what's changed since he was last mayor and what challenges and opportunities lie ahead for the community. Peter, thank you so much for being here with me today.
Thank you, and thank you for coming up to Inuvik.
You know, this isn't your first term as mayor. You're about almost halfway through this term, but you have had this job before, and I'm just wondering what has changed since your last go as mayor in the 2000s?
Yeah, so my last go as mayor in 2006, which was 18 years ago when I became mayor in November of 2024. The big thing that's changed is back in the early 2000s, we had a lot of oil and gas work going on here, and so it was a busy time as far as outside employment and people able to get work and things like that, and so that's changed now. We don't have We've got a little bit of oil and gas work with the Inuvik Sustainable Energy Project and bringing natural gas to Inuvik, and then some reclamation work, but nothing like there was in the early 2000s. But what is happening now is all of the Arctic security, Arctic sovereignty, all of that is taking place. And of course, Inuvik is the furthest west airport in Canada that can land fighter planes, can land larger planes, and we're only 2,000 kilometers from the Russian border. And so we're close to China, we're close to Russia. So strategically, Inuvik is a very strategic place for Arctic security and Arctic sovereignty. So that's probably one of the biggest changes. We've got some other changes as far as aging infrastructure and looking at what can be done to make sure this complex doesn't sink into the permafrost, what we can do to keep our roads and our water sewer. But yeah, all of that's also taking place.
I mean, and that was a whole bunch of things I wanted to talk to you about. So this is a great springing off point. Because we ended on infrastructure, I'll start there as well. There is aging infrastructure here, right? It's something we face in a lot of places in the north. You mentioned the thawing permafrost and the problems that presents. What about the utilidor system specifically? How's that doing? And is it in need of replacement soon?
Well, we're replacing it all the time because that utilidor system was built in the mid to late 50s, 1960s. So a lot of it is aging. A lot of it's still in good shape, but we've replaced probably 30 to 40% of it, maybe a bit more with we've added new infrastructure as far as the utilidor system. But because it's mostly all above ground, we've had some issues with the pilings that it's on because they were all wood pilings back in the 50s and 60s. So we're looking at replacing whatever we can at the same time, building new so that we can add a new subdivision and so that, we've got service lots for people to buy and build houses. So we're always replacing, and we've been doing about $3 million a year. We had a big bump when we did the subdivision on Carmichael and Firth and Reliance Street. It was $7.4 million that year, so that set us back a little bit. But there's a need to replace that every year, and so we're slowly working on replacing the old utilidors and putting in the new steel pilings, new utilidors. But that's about $10,000 a meter. So if you're doing a lot, just to get the utilidor system to your lot is about $200,000. And that's without doing anything else. That's no gas, no power, no road. So development is a lot. And so it has to be subsidized. Nobody's going to buy an empty lot for $250,000 and then build a house on top of that. So we've been able to get territorial money, federal money, in order to subsidize the development of those lots. And as a result, the town is the only developer. Nobody's going to come in and develop those lots like you would, for example, in Yellowknife, because at $250,000 a lot, you're not going to find many buyers.
It puts you in a unique situation. I'll switch now to some of the military, the Arctic sovereignty you were talking about. I know that Yellowknife and Inuvik had kind of signed an agreement to try to lobby for more military infrastructure. It was a relatively recent agreement, but I'm just wondering what has come of that agreement and what the kind of overall wishes are with that agreement.
Yeah, the main focus of the agreement is sharing information between the city of Yellowknife and the town of Inuvik, because we felt by sharing that information on what we were hearing from D&D and other sources, we would both be in a better position. And so far, that's worked great. We've got a great working relationship with Mayor Hendrickson and his senior staff, and we've been able to share information so that we keep up to date. But what we're seeing as D&D looks at getting to their 2%, maybe their 3.5%, and eventually the 5%, there's going to be billions of dollars spent in the Canadian Arctic. And because Inuvik has a strategic airport, and because Yellowknife has a strategic airport, we'll see a lot of that money focused at the airport. We're not likely going to see the military bases that we would have seen in the 50s and 60s, because I don't think the threat is a foot soldier threat. I think it's more in the air with satellites, and so that's why the focus has been on getting the airports ready and then getting strategically ready with the aircraft that are needed for that.
And do you think that any of that, I mean, one of the big questions always when it comes to military infrastructure in the North is how can it also help communities, right? Do you think that that's a path that will be, do you think that's a path will go down, or do you think it will mainly be, you know, airport, which does help civilians, but not as much as, say, building buildings or roads would?
Yeah, so we're in an active discussion with DND, and I went down to the Arctic Security Working Group meeting in Yellowknife in November, and with some ideas on, okay, here's some potential options for what they're calling multi-use infrastructure. So one of them, definitely the airport. The airport, the runway's longer, civilian aircraft can use it. We can land more safely, especially in the wintertime when the runway is a bit slick, because it went from 6,000 feet to, it'll go to 9,000 feet. So that allows the jets to come in a lot easier and a lot safer. But we're looking at things, redundancy as bulk water fill up, because all of the airport is on pump in, pump out. So the military is going to need a good service as far as filling trucks in order to bring the water out to the airport. So that's one potential. We would add another bulk water fuel station at the water tower. Another idea was the Rangers, Coast Guard Auxiliary, Ground Search and Rescue. Doesn't really have a place to operate out of. We've got a couple of sea cans in one of our yards, but the town was looking at building a new heated garage, warm storage, cold storage, and we said, look, we could add on to that and have a base for the Coast Guard Rangers, Coast Guard Auxiliary, and Ground Search and Rescue, which is also part of DND, and that would be a win-win for both groups. One, the Rangers would be ready, they'd have a place to mob and demob out of, and the town would get the use of a new heated garage. So that's another avenue we're following. Another one was, we don't have a water source at the airport. So if there's a major structure fire, we can go out with our trucks full of water, maybe some water trucks, but there's no water source there. And so with DND building potentially up to 4 new hangars with the infrastructure they also have there, we're looking at what can we do to get water out of a nearby lake or maybe out of Airport Lake that both DND's firefighters and our firefighters could then use. So there's a few examples of what we're looking at that could be shared infrastructure and benefit the community and as well benefit DND.
Okay, we'll leave it there. Thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it.
Nope, well, that's great. Thank you very much.
Canada is leaving the 2026 World Junior Hockey Championships with a bronze medal. Team Canada defeated Finland 6-3 in the final today in Minnesota. Their gold medal dream was dashed after another crushing defeat at the hands of a familiar foe. The CBC's George Moratis reports from Minnesota.
Canada is once again leaving the World Junior Hockey Championships without a gold medal, and it was a familiar foe getting the best of them. It was a devilish dose of deja vu for the Canadians. For the third straight year, the Czech Republic beating them in a must-win game, and for a third straight year doing so with a late third-period goal. Canada's mantra this whole tournament has been to be the dream killers. Instead, it was the Czech Republic quashing Canada's golden dreams. Post-game, the Canadians stood on the blue line, tears in their eyes, while across from them, the Czech Republic players sang out their anthem in jubilation. Players and fans once again left wondering what might have been.
Two teams battling, and it looks like the last goal is going to, whoever scored the last one is going to win. So it was one of those games.
What's the feeling in the locker room, those guys right now?
Well, they're down and it's up, but that's hockey, guys. You got to be a pro about it, and you got a game tomorrow.
Yeah, honestly, we went quiet for a couple parts of the game, but you know what? I'm really proud of that group in there. They gave it their all, and every single guy, fought to the very end. And I knew that group in there was going to do that. And sometimes hockey, that happens. You don't win every game, and you just got to handle it like a pro. So it's obviously a tough pill to swallow, but we're still going for a medal tomorrow. It's not what we wanted at all, but we got to get up tomorrow and fight for the bronze medal.
You come all this way, you don't get many opportunities to throw on the flag, and letting your country down sucks. We got a bronze medal to win though tomorrow.
Canada still has an opportunity to leave Minneapolis with a medal, the bronze. Not the color they were hoping for, but still some hardware to take home. George Moratis, CBC News, Minneapolis.
The Yukon's first baby of 2026 was born earlier this week on January 1st. She was one of many babies born in the first hour of the new year across the country, but she was the first for the territory. Parents Braden and Jamie Lee Clausen of Whitehorse welcomed their daughter at 12:40 a.m.
We started pushing at 12:15 and she made her arrival at 12:40.
Thea Joyce Clausen was born at Whitehorse General Hospital. She weighed 8 pounds, 14 ounces. The Clausens say the night was celebratory all around, and Thea's birthday will give new meaning to every New Year's to come. Mild weather in Iqaluit allowed for an outdoor film screening over the weekend. Attendees watched 4 movies, which were projected onto the side of Nakashuk School on Friday. Around 30 people showed up. Many watched from the comfort of their vehicles, while some found seating outside. The organizer says it was a challenge keeping the projector warm and making sure the equipment didn't fly away. But screening movies outdoors in the winter actually makes a lot of sense.
We have so many activities that you can do in the spring, and we also have way more light. So this to me feels really like something that is a great activity for a cold, long winter night.
Perrin says she's hoping to put on more screenings in January or February of this year. Now let's take a look at the weather. And that is Northbeat for tonight. For news anytime, go to cbc.ca/north. Thank you for watching. We leave you tonight with scenes from Inuvik, Northwest Territories. I'm Megan Roberts in Inuvik. Have a good night.